What's up, Raider Nation? Welcome back to another video. You guys saw the OG intro, which means you know this is going to be a great video that I actually took time to edit on. Before I get this video, guys, before we get this video started, I don't know what that was. Before we get this video started, you guys are probably asking a lot of questions. What is this? And truthfully, you know, I acquired this headband from yours truly. I acquired it from the depths of the earth, you know, from a store far away named Walmart. You guys can wear this headband 6 ways. You guys should go look for it at your local Walmart, or actually, never mind. You guys should go look for something like this. It's actually pretty cool. Anyways, I wanted to give you guys a different look. So, like the headband. Anyways, welcome back to another video, guys. Today I am bringing you guys my training camp special. Today is August 8th. For you guys that don't know, the Raiders, training camp has already officially started, but the pads don't go on until the 17th. And so before then, I wanted to drop a training camp special. Now I already know what I'm going to talk about. I had to edit some stuff out because the Raiders made a cut right before I was going to make this video, so that's going to have to be edited out. But I'm going to talk about 7 different battles and maybe some more along the way. But hope you guys enjoy. Sit back, enjoy, and then you guys can go ahead and leave your comments down in the comment section below. Make sure to go follow the official Instagram, mraider.ig. It has the same exact logo you guys see here on the channel. There you get exclusive content that you don't see anywhere else. And then I also post stuff there that I usually don't have time to post on the YouTube as consistently as I would on the Instagram. So go follow there. I'm always active, so you guys need to get a hold of me. You guys can get a hold of me right there. Anyways, hope you guys enjoy, and as always, go Raiders. I might pop in from time to time. So, see you guys then. Okay, everyone, so before we jump into the video, I probably have to catch you guys up on the transactions surrounding the team. Now, I don't know why that picture went blurry. I don't think it'll be like that in the video, but it did on my recording system here. Anyways, so there was a mandate that the NFL set that due to the pandemic, they wanted teams to cut down from 90 to 80 because they didn't want 90 people in the building at the same time. I don't know. Anyway, so the Raiders made 10 cuts, and those cuts were defensive tackle P.J. Hall. Now, I'm not going to go into my whole spiel why I'm so happy we cut P.J. Hall. All I can say is, if you guys want to hear that, go watch the whole separate video I made on that. And good riddance, he's gone. Other than that, we also cut linebacker Marquel Lee, which kind of puzzled me at first. I kind of freaked out, but it made sense after the fact that I consider a lot of guys are ahead of him, you know. We have guys like Corey Littleton, Nicholas Morrow, you know, we have Kwiatkowski, and obviously those guys are probably going to be the starters. But then you have Tanner Muse, and then you have, all these undrafted rookies we signed. And then we have training camp stud Javin White from UNLV, who I'm also going to talk about today. And then the Raiders also cut Dominic Ellerbe. He was the kicker that I was expecting to compete with Daniel Carlson. I actually had a segment where I was going to talk about him beating out Daniel Carlson. Yeah, I definitely thought he was going to beat out Daniel Carlson for the kicker job. But I had to scrap that because the Raiders cut him. And I was very upset. And I still am very upset. I mean, Daniel Carlson can't kick for the life of himself, so I'm still really upset. However, we can still call Graham Gano or Ant, and yes, I know he's a criminal because there's always that one kid in my Instagram feed. He's always like, well, M. Raider, we don't need to sign him because he's a criminal. Yeah, you know exactly who you are. Listen, I know, but Rosas is still talented. Aldrich Rosas is still talented. So we could still call those guys up, but I don't think they will. I think they're gonna stick with Carlson. And you could say Carlson was a fluke this year. I don't know. And then we also cut defensive back Jordan Brown. He was a no-name. And then we cut Paul Butler. Poor Paul Butler. He's been on and off the team 4 times. We're always cutting him and re-signing him. I don't know how long it'll take until we re-sign him again. And then we cut Anthony Ratcliffe Williams. He was a no-name as well. And then we had 3 players opt out. Obviously, the NFL allowed players to opt out because of the pandemic concern in their health. And so a total of 67 players in total in the NFL opted out. The Raiders had 3. They had cornerback DJ Killings, who was probably going to get cut. We had defensive end Jeremiah Valdoga, who we also cut and signed again. So he was probably going to get cut. And then we also had linebacker. Let me see if I can get this right. Ukeimni Agagwe. Yeah. We also had him cut, but they were all probably gonna get cut after their final roster cuts, anyways. So there you guys go. There's your transactions. All right, so here we go. QB battle. Now I refuse to think there was gonna be a QB battle, but a lot of my people, a lot of people that watch my videos and stuff, and a lot of people that follow my Instagram, love to stir up a quarterback controversy. There is no quarterback controversy. It's clear that Carr is our QB. We brought in Mariota because, and only because, Carr has not made substantial improvements in which Gruden sees them to be acceptable. So, the Raiders brought in Mariota. Yeah, they're going to pay him $42 million if all his incentives hit. But this is to give Carr a run for his money, because if Carr doesn't do good, obviously we have a very serviceable quarterback to lead our offense, and obviously we all know that Gruden has a whole different offense ready for Mariota in the case that we need him. Obviously, the only way that I can see Mariota taking it week 1 is if he has a Houdini type camp, where he just lights off a show, causes the media to say nothing but good things about him, and just really takes over. This is Carr's job until proven otherwise. Now, I definitely think that if Mariota's going to take over, Carr's going to have to play poorly throughout the first 6 weeks of the season. Otherwise, Carr's going to be going the whole way. Now, with everything going on with the pandemic and everything, if Carr catches it, I can't say the word, or else YouTube's going to come running after me like a pack of ants. But if Carr catches it, then we definitely have a more than serviceable backup quarterback, one of the best we've had in years, probably the best, to lead our offense and to be ready just in case Carr catches it. So, we should definitely succeed with Mariota in that case. But I think this is Carr's job until proven otherwise, and I'm not ESPN, so I'm not biased, and I definitely think that this is Carr's job. And obviously, as much as Mariota would like to have it, I think that Mariota probably leaves after the season because obviously his contract has an out every year. We signed for 2 years, by the way. And basically he can leave if he wants to go get a starting job otherwise. But Mariota's no stranger to this thing, man. Ryan Tannehill took a job in Tennessee. But yeah, anyways, this is Carr's job until proven otherwise, and we'll have to see how the season plays out if Mariota gets any shot at starting for the Raiders at all this season. Other than maybe, Carr catching it. But we'll see. This is Carr's job. Fair and square. Alright, so for my next battle here, guys, we debate who will start at cornerback 2 opposite Trayvon Mullen. Now, we know that Trayvon Mullen is going to start, so he's already locked in as our number 1. And, our secondary this year is going to be a little oopsie. It's going to be a little weird, The Raiders have one of the youngest secondaries. If you guys didn't know this, the Raiders have one of the youngest secondaries, one of the youngest cornerback sets of the whole entire league. And the average age for our cornerbacks is 22.4 years old. So that's pretty young. So here we have Prince Amukamara, and this is, then we have Damon Arnett. Now, we mainly brought in Amukamara because, obviously, other than that, we would have Ricky starting at our 2 biggest cornerback spots. And I think that Amukamara obviously has a huge leg up on Arnett, not only because of the pandemic, but because he's been in the league longer. Amukamara is nice because he's a decent vet plug-in who you can plug in anywhere, and then he'll just be a nice play on the fly. He's a locker room guy, and a lot of his coaches have always praised him for fighting for a starting spot and giving his all out there on the gridiron on Sundays, despite the fact that he's 31 years old and he should probably be on the bench. And obviously, even though he's that old, he's been proved effective. Over the last 2 years, he's had 4 interceptions, and usually that's 4 interceptions over the last 2 years is good enough for a cornerback his age. And he's got a lot of tackles, and he's still getting in opponents' faces. He was a big factor on the Bears' defense last year, and I think the Bears as a whole had like 8 interceptions, so that's good to that he had a huge contribution in that. He's always proven that he should get a starting spot regardless of being as old as he is. He's the type of talent. He's the type of guy you want any type of year, so he can basically teach the young guys. And this season, especially with the whole pandemic and the whole challenge the NFL rookies face, it's clear that Amukamara has a leg up on Arnette. Now, the Raiders love Arnette. That's obviously true because some can say we reached for him in the draft. Now, let me be honest here with you guys. I did not expect Arnette, just like I did not expect Mullen last year. Now, both are probably going to end up being very good, and obviously, Arnette's probably going to be our starting cornerback when it comes to like 2022 or so. He's obviously going to start for us, which is why we drafted him. Now, the Raiders love him, and obviously they reached for him. And John Gruden has already said to the media that he's not afraid to give Arnette the starting spot alongside Mullen. But Arnette has to earn it. And obviously, that's going to be hard for him, especially with that pandemic. Now, some don't know because he hid it from his college teammates. He played with a broken wrist most of the season in his senior year last year at Ohio State. So therefore, obviously, you add all that up. You add up the fact that Amukamara is still very serviceable. I don't see the Raiders feeling too comfortable putting Arnette out there in the big wolves with the starters. And I think that Amukamara takes it at cornerback 2, week 1. Alright guys, so now we're going to talk about a position that can be more considered depth more than anything, or a rotational position. And that is the defensive tackle 4 position. So, that's between Daniel Ross, who we signed off the Cowboys, and then Mike Panasiuk, somebody we signed as an undrafted free agent. Now, let me tell you guys a funny story. So, I didn't even know that we had signed Panasiuk until, 3 days after the draft. I was, funny thing is, the day after the draft, I don't know, my head was hurting, I was really tired, so, I took a nap, right, and I, wake up, because my phone's going off, and it turns out that shout out to some of the Raider pages out there, so one of them was telling me that we signed Mike Panasiuk out of, Michigan State. Now, I was a big fan of watching Mike Panasiuk in college. He was great, and, he was almost a bulldozer up front for the front 4. But he does need to work on his swim moves quite a bit, so I don't know that he'll make the final 53, but I definitely think he'll definitely make the practice squad. He's a little far off, but not that far off, And then Ross, and so Ross is a Rod Marinelli guy, and obviously Rod Marinelli is now our defensive line coach, and not much was known about Ross either, but the Cowboys started using him in his last year in Dallas. The Cowboys started using him as a rotational piece, started throwing him as an extra lineman on the 3-4 packages, and so it kind of worked out. I'm going to bring up some of his stats here, but it kind of worked out. He was really effective, and he had a really good pressure percentage. The pressure percentage was in the 70s, and that's great, especially for him being a backup defensive tackle. That's great. And like I said, he was really successful in the 3-4 packages. Now if I bring up his stats here, you guys will see that. Alright guys, so here's his stats for you guys to look at them yourselves. Once again, this is Daniel Ross. And so like I was saying, Dallas used him as a rotational piece, and that's obviously what you guys can see. His rookie year 2017, he didn't play in 2019, he had an injury. But he had a sack. He had a sack. And then he had, you guys can see the QB hits. And that's, like I said, that's the pressure rate. So, first year he only had 2. And second year he had 7. And obviously that's great. And obviously I'm pretty sure he got a bigger role as a rotational piece in a 3-4 scheme. With the guys like Antoine Woods, I think they had for a year. And I'm trying to think of their defensive lineman. DeMarcus Lawrence, I don't know if you consider him as a nose tackle. but he was there too. Anyways, the Raiders kind of run more of a 4-3 scheme, but with the Raiders, they have so many bodies at the defensive tackle line or the nose tackle line. It kind of works the same way. You know, Gruden Gunther, can scheme it up to where we could have Mo Hurst and Hankins on one end, on one side, and then if they want to do like an extra push, they could throw in Ross as like the rotational piece, and that'll even create more pressure on the line, which obviously is something we need and something we've tried to improve on for the last 2 years. The Raiders have, and so that's obviously a good idea. So I definitely think that Ross will win this one here and far, only because he has so much more experience and he's a lot more useful, as you guys can see by the QB hits. That's definitely good, really good, really really good. He's got the skills too. He's really good, and he's Marinelli's guy, and Rod Marinelli basically gammered for him. He kind of banged the table for him. And it's obvious that we're probably going to use him somehow. Should be interesting to see. Daniel Ross takes the job at DT4, in my opinion. Alright guys, so now here's a battle that I wanted to take some time on, and that is the right outside linebacker battle. And obviously, we already know who's going to start at left outside linebacker, Littleton, and middle linebacker is going to be Littleton, and the left outside linebacker is going to be Nick Kwiatkowski. But we don't know who's going to start at right outside linebacker, and that's the big question we're trying to answer here today. So I consider this a battle between Tanner Muse and Nicholas Morrow. Now, Nicholas Morrow is far and ahead a way better option than Tanner Muse at the moment. Strictly because Tanner Muse is just so raw. Tanner Muse mostly played safety at Clemson, so that doesn't help his case a lot, but Tanner Muse is really raw. A lot of draft analysts and stuff were criticizing the Raiders for taking him in the 5th round. They had him going in like the 6th or 7th. By the way, Tanner Muse went in the 4th. No, Tanner Muse went in the... Wait. No. Alright, so I think if I remember correctly, Tanner Muse we traded up for him. He went in the 3rd. But anyways, people were saying he should have gone in like the 6th or the 7th. Anyways, Nicholas Morrow is an interesting player. He's kind of a hot and cold player. Nicholas Morrow, when he has good days, he's on his good days, man. I mean, he'll be reading all the running backs from all over the fields. He'll make sure to make all the tackles. He'll look like a stud. He'll look like a surefire starter, and he'll look like he's developed some. But with those, there's just way too many instances where he just, has really bad games. And when he's really bad, he's really, really bad. Like, really, really bad. And so, some games, you can run through him like a piece of paper. It's like, literally, it's like, you can run through him like a piece of paper. He's always lost. He doesn't know when to tackle. He's always missing tackles. And he's one of the worst linebackers in the NFL when it comes to missed opportunities. So, I mean, that's just terrible. Like I said, though, Morrow has some good and bad about him, and, I would hope he improves. He barely made the team in 2017 as a training camp body. Nobody knew much about him, but, he's not the best, but he's definitely not the worst. Is he better than Mark Coley? Yeah, he is. But, I mean, he looked like a stud over the last 3 years, strictly because the Raiders didn't have a competent linebacker. Everybody, all the fans thought that guys like Navarro Bowman and Riley Perry Jr. and trying to think of some more here. There was one more we recently signed. I don't remember his name. How do I not remember his name? Will Compton of the Busting with the Boys podcast. Shout out to them. But yeah, Will Compton. The fans thought those guys were the answers. Why? Because they see that as an all-star upgrade compared to our incompetent linebackers who couldn't even make a tackle to save their lives. Like, the skill level of the linebackers that we've had over the last, 6-7 years after we got rid of Nick Roach, have been really just clustered. You know, they've been poor. They're like JV level linebackers. I mean, it's awful. So obviously Nicholas Morrow looks really good, and I think this year he's gonna show his true colors because we have guys like Kwiatkowski and Littleton now, who's a hybrid backer. So that should be interesting to see. But as for Tanner Muse, like I said, Tanner Muse is a long shot to start. Like I said, he's really raw. Kind of needs to build some muscle. He mainly started at safety in college, and I don't think that the coaches would be very safe putting him out there at right outside linebacker when he still needs to learn the position to a great physique where you could actually feel comfortable with him starting. And so far he hasn't done that. Now, yeah, he played some linebacker in Clemson, but they had him as like in dime packages or as a the weak side linebacker or the Mike linebacker. You know, he wasn't one of the big forces like a guy like Isaiah Simmons or Trey Lamar III in Clemson. So I mean, it would be a risky start. And I don't see Muse being a good fit right now for us. He's a project, just like a guy like who are we talking to? I think like a guy like Mike Panasiuk. Or, anyways, even despite the fact that I say all of that, we should definitely know that Tanner Muse is gonna get some starting plays this year. He's gonna start some games because he is mainly a safety, and obviously the Raiders have safety woes of their own right now, trying to replace Carl Joseph and guys like Carl Joseph, and obviously we didn't have Jonathan Abram last year. But obviously they have Demarius Randall for all that. But yeah, so here I'm going to bring up some stats to compare the two and why I think that Morrow will far and away get the actual spot. So here it is, guys. Give me 1 second. Alright, guys. So here we have Nicholas Morrow. Now, as you guys can see, Nicholas Morrow usually, or has over the last 3 years, Nicholas Morrow has had an average of 50 solo tackles, and that's pretty average for a linebacker of his stature. Now that's like phenomenal, astronomical, all-star numbers for the Raiders because again, our linebackers were absolute just trash. 50 tackles in his first year as just a plug-in piece. 2018, they kind of put him in more as the left outside linebacker. He also had 43 tackles there, and then last year he had 73, which is the highest of his career. He usually averages about 3 quarterback hits a year, and that's great. But as you guys can see, he has a lot of just tackles by his own because he's really good at reading the run defense, and so he's usually there to plug up the holes that the running backs think they can have, but they don't have because Morrow's there. But I wish I could go game by game here because if you look at some of his stats when he's not having a good game, I mean, you can run, like I said, you can run through him like a piece of paper. He's like very soggy cookie dough when he's having a bad day. It's yeah. Oh man. He just looks like the rest of them, the rest of the non-competent linebackers we've had. But yeah, you guys can see that his numbers on average are very just decent and serviceable. But for Raider fans, oh my God, we found the linebacker of the future. But like I said, I think this year it's going to be a lot more magnified because we actually have competent linebackers playing the position. But obviously you guys can see that he tries harder, he has a better inside track, and he's better at reading defenses more than Tanner Muse here, whose stats I will pull up here in a second. And right now, at a given time, because of the pandemic and all that, obviously Nicholas Morrow is a better fit overall. I mean, that's just obvious. So, all right, let me go ahead and pull up Tanner Muse stats here real quick. Give me 1 second. All right, guys. So here's the stat line for Tanner Muse. Obviously, this was off ESPN. Now, for you guys that know me really well, actually, I have a lot of problems with ESPN. But so here's the stats. So right off the jump, you can easily tell based off the tackles. 19 his first year. 62 and 65 and 69 are good. But then you got the solo tackles, 29, 31, 36. And then you look all the way over to the sacks. And usually, pure linebacker, the way that pure linebackers are built, pure linebackers usually only get about 2 sacks a year if they're even lucky. Now, you look at the interception, and that's the big difference based off where you can see that Muse isn't a true linebacker, and he's more of a versatile safety or a weak side linebacker, as the Raiders want him to be. And so, you have that. And he has 6 interceptions, 7 interceptions, and 4 interceptions in the senior year. And that combines for a whole 7. But usually, pure linebackers only get like 1 if they're even lucky a year. So, obviously, Tanner Muse is a versatile player. He's in the box safety. His bread and butter is a safety. But obviously, the Raiders wanted to play linebacker since they think his body and physique and the way he's trained to be a professional football player is better fit for a linebacker. And obviously, he won't start right away because obviously there's going to be some bumps in the road when it comes to his development. I mean, trying to transition from a linebacker to a safety is really, really hard unless you're a guy like, trying to think of one, Deion Buchanan. But, it's, it'll be a challenge for Muse, but I think he can do it. But, I mean, looking at where we are now and looking at how he's not a true linebacker, Tanner Muse, obviously, we should bet that it's going to go tomorrow. We should really bet that it's going to go tomorrow. And, obviously, we should expect Moore to put up some similar numbers than he did the last 3 years. Maybe some type of improvement along the way because of the fact that he actually has 2 linebackers to complement his weaknesses. But we shall see. But yeah, my winner for this battle is Nicholas Morrow. Alright guys, so the last battle I really wanted to dive into was one that I was really excited to talk about. And that is the wide receiver 6 battle. And so, the Raiders are, nobody knows for sure how many receivers the Raiders are going to keep. But they're kind of hinting towards keeping 6. Our wide receiver room is already crowded with Henry Ruggs and Hunter Renfrow. Oh yeah, by the way, self-note, not self. The Raiders are going to play Henry Ruggs in the slot and all over the field, so he's going to be moved around. So that should be really interesting to see. Also, like I was saying, Bryan Edwards is apparently turning heads, but then we also have guys like Hunter Renfrow. Okay, we have we have Lynn Bowden, who you can also count as a receiver. You got guys like basically pretty much all our practice squad bodies. We had Anthony Ratcliffe Williams. Anyways, our wide receiver room is really, really... Oh, Tyrell Williams. How did I forget about him? You can't forget about Tyrell Williams. Well, when you add all those names up, our wide receiver room is really crowded. And so, the Raiders are probably going to keep one for depth. And the battle I really consider this to be is Zay Jones versus guys like Keelan Doss and Marshall Waitman. Now, Keelan Doss and Marshall Waitman on the graphic are on the same side, but no, I just have to do that so I could write wide receiver battle on the top. There's no pairs or anything. So here we go. We're going to look at the stats, and now these stats are not very big stats, so I'm not going to put them on the screen. I'll just read them to you guys off my phone here. And give me 1 second. But obviously, all Raider fans should know that a guy like Zay Jones obviously has a leg up on them all. If you guys didn't know, Zay Jones and Derek Carr actually rented out a park in Vegas throughout the whole summer and went to go train there. So, obviously you've seen Zay Jones catching balls on Derek Carr's YouTube. So, this season wait a minute. Wrong stats. Give me 1 second. This season he had 27 receptions for 216 yards. Zay Jones did. Okay, and so obviously Zay Jones is probably a better fit than these two. Keelan Doss, a guy that I was really high on. He was a Hard Knocks star last year. I almost bought his jersey. I was so fond of Keelan Doss because he's got the tools, and I know he can do it. But I really think that he should probably go for going to a team that actually appreciates him and wants to use him. Keelan Doss only had 11 receptions for 133 yards. Not good enough. And then Marcel Ateman, probably the forgotten receiver of the last of our whole entire core here, practice squad guy. The thing with Zay Jones is he played as Zay Jones. The thing with Marcel Ateman is that he played with Mason Rudolph at Oklahoma State, and so Marcel Ateman is a big body possession receiver who can get it done. And Zay Jones this year alone had 5 receptions for 116 yards. So those stats are not good. And when you consider that Zay Jones has a big repertoire going on with Derek Carr and their connection's very strong, obviously I think that Zay Jones is sadly going to win this one. Sucks to say because I really wanted Keelan Doss to stay on the team. I'm a really big fan of him, but he'll probably go somewhere else, get lots of money like the Jaguars almost gave him. So yeah, Zay Jones wins this battle near and far. Alright, and you guys know that it's no Raiders training camp special without not talking about this amazing guy. So, this is undrafted free agent linebacker signee Javin White out of UNLV. And, let me tell you, when the Raiders signed him, I was jacked up. I was really happy. If you guys watch his stats, you guys will watch his stats. Watch his highlights, and maybe see his stats, which I'm going to pull up here in a second. You guys will quickly see that he has such a great motor. His technique and his ability to get to the quarterback and read the defenses is unmatched. I mean, he's a diamond in the rough. He's really, really good. I don't know how he didn't get drafted, but he's really, really good. He's really quick too. Like I said, his motor is unmatched. I mean, his motor is phenomenal. That's probably his best part of his game. But anyways, the coaches were very, 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 or have been very, very, very shocked by Javin White, and obviously they think that he's been a stud of camp. Sports articles and sports media out there were saying that, or Bleacher Report pegged Javin White as the Raiders' name to look out for, player to look out for in the training camp. And really, he is. I mean, this guy is really good. He's got it all, man. He's really good. In fact, the coaching staff seems so enticed by him. Gruden had a lot to say about Javin White. Gruden is very enamored by Javin White, and it seems like Javin White has taken the coaching staff by storm. And like I said, it's no surprise if you look at this kid's highlight tape. He's just that good. He's that dude. I hope you guys like the picture there. But anyways, he's just that guy. And, he's a homegrown talent, so that makes it even better. Homegrown talent is in Vegas as opposed to Oakland. But, yeah, I mean, it makes it even better. This guy's fundamentals are out the roof. He's really good. I could go on all day. And so could Gruden, apparently, because the other day, Gruden had a virtual press conference because, that's what we have to do nowadays. But he was just talking up Javin White. In fact, there was some rumors out there. I don't know how true these are. There was rumors out there. The reason that we cut Marquel Lee is because Gruden has begun secretly telling Raider insiders that Javin White's a lock to make the team. And honestly, I don't know if that's a rumor or not, but I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't. I think that Javin White will make the team, whether that was a rumor or not. And that's why I wanted to talk about him. I mean, the kid is just that dude. Yeah, but there's been rumors, there's been whispers that Gruden has been secretly telling Raiders media people and, Raider insiders and the coaching staff that he has already locked a spot on the 53. Javin White has. And if that's the case, that's phenomenal. I can't wait to have him on the team. He's way better than Marco Ali, and that makes sense. If that's the reason why we cut him, it makes sense. But here we go. I'm going to bring up some of his stats now. Alright, so here are White's stats. Obviously, they're pretty good for being a starter at UNLV. He averages about 38 tackles a season. You guys can see a 48, 38, and looks like a 35 chain. So, has a few sacks here and there, a half sack last year. So, I mean, looks pretty good. He has a substantial amount of tackles. You would probably want more if he was actually going to get a starting spot. Probably around the 80s range. But obviously, the NFL is a lot more taxing for tackles, so he should probably, his numbers are probably up regardless if he gets the starting spot or not. But this even just goes to show more as to why there's little rumblings coming out of training camp that Gruden has already secretly told people that Javin White's a lock to make the team. I mean, if this doesn't show you enough, I don't know what does. Gruden also made a statement where he talked glowingly about Javin White's status of whether he'll make the 53 or not, and I'll bring that up here shortly. But you can obviously see off the stats that's obviously has some merit to it, And if you look at his stats here, he said in the press conference, I have it scribed out, so I'll bring that up. But there you guys have it. I mean, pretty nice linebacker. Has some talent, man. The motor, like I said, something else. I definitely think he'll make the 53. He'll probably be a surprise make, I would think. I don't, based off how it's been going for Javin White and what the coaches think of him, I don't see how he doesn't make the 53 quite yet. I think he'll make it. I really do. And if not, for sure, practice squad, but I think he'll make it only because I don't know that the Raiders are going to want to risk losing him to a team every single week, So, I don't know. But here we go. Here's the quote that Gruden had to say about White. So here's Gruden's comment about talking glowingly about Javin White, and he said, "In this game of football we played today, it's paramount in an area where we needed to address, and fortunately there were some good linebackers available in free agency. We made that a priority. We were really happy with Kwiatkowski in Littleton, but there's also a young kid out of the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, a young undrafted free agent, Javin White." And like I said, Gruden's obviously spoken glowingly about him in a lot of other press conferences too. Interestingly enough, we haven't heard much about what Paul Guenther thinks about Javin White, since Javin White's a defensive player. But I think the Raiders are going to want to pull the strings and keep this guy. They may have to give him a little extra to stay around, but I see this as another one of those Keelan Doss situations where they're scared to lose him to another team every week. I would love having Javin White on the team. Would I give him the starting spot over Nicholas Morrow? Maybe. I don't know. But Javin White, man, he's got it. I watched a lot of Fresno State games this season. I can definitely agree, since they're in the same division, the Mountain West division, that Javin White's definitely good. I like Javin White a lot, and I think the coaching staff sees the same thing. It'll be really interesting to see how it keeps going for him. But as of right now, I'm going to tell you this. I think the whisperings have some merit to them, and I definitely think that Javin White has a good chance to make the 53. As of today, August 9th, 12:34 p.m., I will say that Javin White will most likely make the 53-man roster of the inaugural season, the inaugural roster of the Las Vegas Raiders. And there you guys have it, Raider Nation. Your training camp special brought to yours truly from M Raider. There's my training camp special for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I can't believe I even still have a voice after talking for this long. I mean, this is a 40-minute video when it's all said and done. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. But I mean, the Raiders have a lot of battles to conquer and see what they got. This season's going to be awesome to see, and it should be very interesting to see how these guys perform when the actual pads go on August 17th. So I'm really excited to see that, man. But some of these kids are going to have a tough time making the roster. Some of them will have a good time making the roster. We got some really interesting battles, and this season will obviously be a lot of fun to watch, even though it'll have no fans. So I hope you guys enjoyed. But I am on here because I wanted to say, guys, that the other day I was going through YouTube and I went to go check up on my channel and see how I was doing, just progress-wise. And I got an email, and we reached 100 subscribers on this channel. And I just want to say thank you to you all who have watched the channel since its beginning. I've had this channel for 3 years. I started off as a squeak beak who didn't even know how to talk back then. And was just rambling on whatever, and I was the kid back then who decided it was cool to screen record highlights and talk about games off my iPad. And look where we are now. I mean, it's crazy. I went from a squeaker to a very knowledgeable Raider fan, and I got 104 people watching me, man. That's crazy. As I said on my Instagram speech where I was, talking about where I got 1,000 followers, it warms my heart to know that I make a impact on some social media feeds. And I know that YouTube's not really classified as social media, but same difference. And it really warms my heart to know that you guys actually want to listen to what I have to say. And you guys are possibly watching the beginning of a dream that I want to pursue in broadcasting, which is the whole reason why I've made this channel. But like I said, it makes me happy to know that I've made an impact on some YouTube subscription boxes that you guys want to watch me for Raider news. So anyways, guys, thank you for that. 100 subscribers is only a small minuscule of goals I want to hit here in the next few years, and let's keep growing, guys. Make sure to subscribe if you guys haven't already, man. the road to 150 is real. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for 100 subscribers. And as always, go Raiders.